Namaskar, welcome to all. We are here with you to introduce CYP Introduction Program. We have learned so many things in this protocol period. So today we will start once again CYP Introduction Program with practical session. So for practical session, sit comfortable in any meditative posture. Adopt Gyan Mudra of both hands. Place your back of the palms on your knees and close your eyes. Check your body with closed eyes. From head to toes, observe it. Don't tight any part of your body. Your fingers should be loose in Gyan Mudra. Your back should be straight. Your neck should be in center. Make space between your stomach and chest. Transfer your upper body weight towards your hip region. Then you can make your back straight and aligned. Observe your breath. Watch each and every breath. Now, join your palms for prayer. Let's start the session with 3 times Omkar chanting and then 1 mantra. Breathe in. Sehna vavatu Sehna bhunaktu Sahaviryam karvavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Feel the impact of prayer and slowly place your palms on your eyes. Gently bring your arms back. Once again, welcome to everyone. Now we will start with loosening practices. Stand at your place. Loosening practices helps to increase blood circulation in the body. I hope you all are going to be do the practices with us. So let's start. First, we will start the preparation, how we have to stand before starting the loosening practices. Stand with the feet 2 inches apart. Place your hand beside your body, fingers pointing downward. Hand should be loose and relaxed. Neck should be in center. And close your eyes. This is Samasthiti. So before starting any standing series practices or loosening practices, stand in this posture and feel your body weight, surrender your body weight, transfer towards the earth. Relax yourself. connect with your body and breath. Now, we move towards the forward and backward bending. Place your hands on your waist. Exhale, move your neck downward and try to touch the chin towards the chest. Inhale, stretch your neck up. Feel the stretch on the front side of the neck. Exhale, bring your head down once again, head forward. Inhale, bring your head backward. Stretch it more stretch. Exhale, come to the center. Now, we will move towards the right and left neck bending. Exhale, bend your neck right side. With open eyes, don't lift your shoulders. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, left side. Inhale, come to the center. Once again, repeat this practice. Exhale, try to touch the ear to the shoulder. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, left side. Inhale, come to the center. Third, neck practice, right and left neck twisting. Exhale, twist your neck maximum towards the right side so that you can take your chin in the line of shoulder. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, move your head left side maximum, twist it, twist it. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, right side. Inhale, come to the center. Last time. Exhale, left side. Inhale, come to the center. Day by day, if you do these practices, your range of motion of the neck will improve. So, next practice, rotation, neck rotation. If you have cervical spondylitis problem, so please avoid this practice. Now, exhale, bring your chin towards the chest. Inhale and slowly rotate your neck, rotate your head clockwise. Exhale, come down. Very good. Inhale, rotate your head back in an anti-clockwise direction with open eyes. Don't lift your shoulder. Balance on both feet. Exhale, bring your head down. This is one round. Repeat one more round. Try to observe, try to watch all the area. Rotate a big circle. Try to make a big circle. Very good. With open eyes. Now, in anti-clockwise direction with inhale up, maximum. Exhale, bring your head down and relax. Bring your arms down, close your eyes, feel the impact on your neck. Now, we move towards the shoulders movement. So, let us start shoulder movement. Inhale, raise your arms by the sides upward and palms facing outward. Keep the hands parallel, stretch your arms. With exhalation, bring your arms down. Very good. We will repeat 2 more rounds. Inhale, stretch your arms from the sides. Exhale, bring your arms down. Inhale, once again, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bring your arms down. Next movement, shoulder rotation. Inhale, raise your arms by the side of the trunk up to the shoulder level. Now bend the elbows and place the respective fingers on the shoulders. Now join your elbows in front of the chest. Inhale, raise the elbows upward and backward in a circular path. Exhale, move the elbows downward and bring it in front of the chest. Repeat it. One more round, very good. Now we will repeat this practice on the other side. Inhale, stretch up and exhale, bring it front. Yes, once again. Now spread your elbows sideways, spread your arms sideways and bring your arms down. Let us move toward the trunk twisting. Next practice, loosening practice, trunk twisting. Spread your legs shoulder length apart. Very good. We will do this practice in a modified version. First of all, you will see, just place your right hand on the left shoulder, yes, and left hand on the back, and twist your body towards the left side. Twist it, twist it, twist it. You can do this practice like this. If you are not able to raise your arms, if you have a frozen shoulders related problem, do this practice on the other side also. Place your left palm on the right shoulder and the right arm. Take it back and near the waist and twist it. Very good. Balance on both feet. Slowly come back. And now we will do the final variation of the trunk twisting. Inhale, raise your arms upward up to the shoulder level. Exhale, twist your body maximum towards the right side. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale towards the left side. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale towards the right side. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, left side. Inhale, come to the center. Now bring your arms down and relax. Join your legs. Feel the impact of the trunk twisting in modified version or in final variation. Feel the impact. Now we will do the knee movement. So for knee movement, once again you have to spread your legs up to the shoulder level apart. Inhale, raise your arms up to the shoulder level, not too much. Exhale, bend your knees and come to the squatting position. Half squatting position, more down, very good. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, once again, bend your knees and come to the half squatting position. Stretch your back, very good. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bring your arms down and relax. Join your legs. Now today we will do ankles movement. Place your hands on your waist. Raise your right foot slightly up and keep the knee straight. Now stretch the ankle outward and inward, in and out. Yes, 2 times. Very good. Now rotate your ankle clockwise direction. Very good. Now anti-clockwise direction. If you are not able to perform this practice in the standing position, you can do this practice in the sitting position too. Now slowly bring your right foot back. Now repeat this practice with other leg. Raise your left foot slightly up, keep the knee straight, in and out, Now stretch your ankle outward and inward 2 times, and then rotate your ankle joint in a clockwise direction 2 times. Very good. And then anti-clockwise direction. Bring your foot back and relax. Bring your arms down. This is ankle movement. Now, we begin with Yogasanas series, Yogasanas practices, standing series asanas, sitting, supine, prone, all the asanas we will do today, and I hope you are doing with us. So now, get ready for Tadasana, turn your side, stand with your feet 2 inches apart, inhale, raise your arms up to the shoulder level and interlock your fingers. Exhale, turn your palms out. Now, inhale, stretch your arms up above the head, align your body, relax your thoracic region, stretch your back, observe your body. Draw an imaginary line from the center of the hands to the head and the center of the feet. It should be a straight line. Now, focus at one point and raise your heels off the floor. Balance on the toes and maintain this position with normal breathing. Tadasana, it is a balancing series posture and upstretch. This asana provides balance and firmness to the body. So, slowly bring your heels down. Release the interlock fingers and keeps the palms facing outside and bring your arms down. Very good. Close your eyes, feel the impact. While doing the practice, we are trying to connect our body, how we are doing it, how's our body shape, but after just finish the practice, you have to feel the impact. Then you can connect with your body again and again. You are trying to connect with your body, and that's why you can say your wavering mind can be get stable through the asanas practice also. So now next practice is Vrikshasana. Turn your side please, sir. Yes, Vrikshasana. Focus on a point. Exhale, move your right leg up and try to place the foot on the inner side of the thigh, left thigh, so that heels close to the perineum region. Now balance it and then inhale, raise your both arms up to the shoulder level, turn your palms and then stretch your arms upward, join your palms, balance. Breathe normal, maintain the posture, body should be loose. Very good. This asana helps to make neuromuscular coordination. Slowly bring your arms down and bring your right foot down, right leg down. We will repeat this practice on the other side with exhalation. Bend your left foot, bend your left leg. Yes. With inhalation, raise your arms upward and join your palms, stretch your body. When you want to make balance stable, make sure big toe of the other foot should be pressed firmly, or you can spread your toes properly and give the pressure properly on the front side of the foot and the heel region. Now you can see the alignment, you can see the balance. Slowly bring your arms back and bring your left leg back. Very good. This asana helps in neuromuscular coordination. Next practice, that is Padhastasana. So turn your side once again, sir. Thank you. For Padhastasana, people having severe low back pain shall avoid this practice. Now, keep your feet comfortably apart. Inhale, raise your arms up and stretch your body. Exhale, straight back, bend forward, final posture of the Padhastasana. straight back. Keep your palms beside your feet. Stretch yourself downward. Try to take your center of the head towards downward. Yes. And then you can see your hip to heel is going to be straight. Transfer the body weight towards your toes, little bit. Yes. This posture makes the spine flexible and helps to improve digestion. Now, with inhalation, slowly bring your arms back and body stretch up. Exhale, bring your arms back and relax. Feel the effect of this practice. Now, with the same gap of the feet, we will do the Ardha Chakrasana. People having giddiness, neck pain and shoulder pain may practice with care. Place your hand at your back of the waist. Yes. Keep your elbows parallel to each other. Try to elbows close as much as possible so that you can feel the expansion of the thoracic region. Now, inhale, move the head backward. Exhale, take your body, thoracic region and lower back more backward, bend more back, more back. Very good, very good, very good. Elbows close. Maintain the posture with normal breathing. Make sure your eyes should not close. Your breathing should be normal. If you are holding your breath, you are closing your eyes, you may feel giddiness. Now, with inhalation, slowly come back and bring your arms down. Relax your body and feel the impact of the Ardha Chakrasana on your breathing pattern, on your body. Now, from here we will move on the sitting posture. Just sit in the Dandasana. And then relax your hands at the back side, relax in Vishramasana. Place your hand, support your back with the hands, open your legs little bit. Yes. Drop your toes sideways. Raise your head up and relax your body. This is Vishramasana, or you can say this is the starting position of the sitting posture. Now, we will move towards the Bhadrasana from here. Join your legs, place your hands beside your hip region, come into the Dandasana position. From here, bend your knees and put the soles of your feet together. Exhale, hold your toes, bring your heels closer to your body. Now, push your knees downward, more down, push your knees. Yes, stretch your back and align your body. If you are feeling, if you are thinking, if you see your body is leaning forward, so transfer the little bit weight on the hip region. Center your body, align your body and close your eyes. Observe your breath. This asana keeps the abdominal muscles healthy. Now, come back to the Dandasana, open your eyes, take your legs to the front. Yes. Now, from here we move towards the Vajrasana. Fold the right leg at the knee and place the foot under the right buttock. Similarly, folding the left leg. Place both the feet in such a way so that the big toes touching each other, and position of the hip region, it is in the space between the heels and the feet. Hands on the knees, elbows relax, close your eyes, This is Vajrasana. This is also a one meditative posture, and you can do this practice just after the meal. This asana is good for digestion and strengthen the leg nerves. If person having the osteoarthritis knee, please avoid this practice. From Vajrasana, we will do the Ardha Ushtrasana. Inhale, come up to the kneeling position. Spread your knees 2 inches apart and toes, yes. Now place your hands on the buttocks, fingers pointing downwards, yes. Elbows close to the body, elbows close to each other, very good, very good. Keep the upper arms parallel to each other. Inhale, bend the head back, stretch the neck. Exhale, bend backward, more, and relax in the final position. Maintain the final position with normal breathing. You can see how much opening of the thoracic region here. Feel it and be there with normal breathing. This asana helps to relieve lower back pain. Those persons who are not able to perform Ushtrasana, they can perform this Ardha Ushtrasana. Now slowly with inhalation, come back to the center kneeling up position and sit in Vajrasana with exhalation. We will do the counter pose of Ardha Ushtrasana. We have done backward bending, so we have to do the forward bending, but we will do the forward bending Shashakasana or Saral Shashakasana in a simplified version. Don't spread your knees, just bend forward slightly, place your hands forward and stretch your arms forward. Don't raise your hips, yes. Try to touch forehead on the ground if it's possible, yes. Or if it's not possible, you can place one palm on the other palm and place your forehead on it. हथेली के ऊपर हथेली रखें. So if you are not able to do like this, you can use the bolster which we have already told you. Yes. Now slowly come back to the starting position, to the center, and get ready for Ushtrasana. Again, come up to the kneeling position. Open your knees few inches apart and open your toes and heels. Yes. Spread your legs. Very good. Now, with inhalation, bend backward, extending the neck. Extend the hands backward and downward and exhale. Place them on the respective heels. Hold your heels. Very good. One by one. Now push your hip forward, lower back forward. Open your thoracic region. Very good. Push your back more. Weight on the body should be evenly supported by the arms and legs. Should not be transferred only on the one side. Maintain this position. Slowly come back with inhalation. Lift your neck up and body. Come to the starting position and sit in Vajrasana. Relax yourself. This asana strengthens the spine and neck muscles and improves eyesight also. Now we move towards the next position, that is Shashak Asana. Inhale, spread both the knees comfortably apart. Place your palms between the knees. Exhale and bend forward. Stretch the arms to the front. Place the arms, chin and chest on the ground. Don't raise your buttocks. Keep the arms parallel and maintain the final position with normal breathing. Sorry. Your body should be loose and relaxed. Feel the relaxation in this pose like you are doing the Shavasana. Similarly, in this pose, you have to relax your body. This asana helps to reduce stress and anxiety. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bring your knees together and relax in Vajrasana once again. Observe the changes, feel the impact. Now, we will do the practice is Uttan Manduk Asana. I request to my colleague, please turn the side. Yes, thank you. So, show one time this side and one time that side. People with severe low back pain, knee pain, stiffness of the knees and back shall practice with care. So, again spread the knees for Uttan Mandukasana, knees wide apart with the big toes touching each other. Inhale, raise both the arms upward and palms facing front. Very good. Exhale, fold your arms and place your right arm on the left shoulder and left arm on the right shoulder. Yes. Relax your thoracic region. Yes. Stretch your elbows upward and be there with normal breathing. Close your eyes, maintain the final position. This asana is helpful in backache and cervical spondylosis. Don't tighten any part of your body. If you are not able to perform this practice with the hands, you are not able to perform the placing your palms on the opposite shoulders. We will show you how you can do it. Slowly bring your arms back, raise your arms up, stretch, stretch, bring your arms back on your knees, join your legs. We will show you how you can do. If you are not able to perform, place your palm on the opposite shoulder. Turn your side, please, sir. Yes. You can see how you have to sit, touching the big toes and sitting between your heels. Open your heels more. Now spread your knees. Inhale, raise your arms up, stretch it, stretch it, stretch it. Now interlock your fingers and place on your head. Yes. You can do this simplified version of Uttan Mandukasana. Now unlock your fingers and place it back of the head region. Yes. And if you are comfortable here, then you can move towards the on the opposite shoulder. Slowly on the opposite shoulders. From here, slide your hands. Yes. You can see. So this is the way you can do according to your flexibility, according to your capacity, Uttan Mandukasana. Now slowly come back to the starting position in Vajrasana. And we will perform the next practice, that Vakrasana. People with low back pain, wrist pain, shoulder pain and stiffness shall practice with care. Now sit in Dandasana with support of hands. Take your legs out. Yes. First of all, come in Dandasana. Now bend your right leg. Place your right foot near the left knee. Take your right hand back. Place your right hand properly. Yes. Now hold your arch of the right foot. Take your left hand up above your right knee and try to hold the arch of the right foot. Stretch your back. Twist your body with exhalation. Yes. This is the final variation of the Vakrasana. Usually people not able to hold the arch, so they can hold the knees. Slowly come back with inhalation. Repeat this practice on the other side. Bend your left leg, place the left foot on near the right knee and start your posture. You can see how you have to take right hand, how you have to hold the arch of the left foot. This asana makes the spine flexible and helps to overcome diabetes. Maintain the position, twist your body, final position. Inhale, come back and bring your arms back, relax in Vishramasana. Let us move on to the prone postures. Lie down on your abdominal region with the feet comfortably apart and toes pointing outwards. It means we are going to do the Makarasana. Lie down and bend both the arms at the elbows so that the palms resting on the below the face. Yes. Open your legs, spread your toes sideways. Very good. Relax your body. Keep your eyes closed and relax the whole body. Remain aware of the body and breath. Relax for few seconds. This is Makarasana or relaxation pose for prone series posture. Makarasana helps to relax body and mind. Now, we will do the practice of Bhujangasana. Join your legs, stretch your arms forward, rest the chin on the floor. Adjust yourself, very good. Exhale, place the palms just beneath the shoulders with elbows close to the body. For Bhujangasana, bend your elbows. Yes. Place your palms beneath your shoulders. Yes, elbows close to the body. Very good. Inhale, slowly lift up the upper body up to the navel region without exerting pressure on the arms till the navel. Very good. Relax your shoulders, not too much, and maintain the final position with normal breathing. Don't open your elbow region, don't widen it, just make it closer, keep the arms parallel. Don't hold the breath and maintain this position. You can feel the good stretch on your lower back. This asana reduces extra fat of abdominal region and relieves from constipation. Slowly with exhalation, come back and relax in Makarasana. And after the feeling impact of the Bhujangasana, we will do the next posture, Shalabhasana. So, get ready for Shalabhasana. Join your legs. Place your hand beside your thighs, palms facing downward. Join your legs. With inhalation, raise your both legs without bending the knees of the floor. If you are not able to raising both the legs, so you can do at your own one by one. Yes. Don't hold your breath. Stretch it up. Pull it up more. Up. Toes relax. With exhalation, slowly come back. In the final position, you should not hold the breath. Now, we will do once again. Inhale, slowly raise your legs off the floor as much as you can. Start your practice. Very good. Keep the legs straight without raising the chin up. Maintain the position with normal breathing. Exhale, slowly bring the legs down off the floor and come to the initial position. It means Makarasana. Relax yourself. Shalabhasana relieves from sciatica and backache. The person facing the problem of backache, so they can do the Shalabhasana or Ardha Shalabhasana. It helps to remove the backache. Now, we will move towards the spine postures. Slowly lie down on your back. In the CYP program, we have the 4 to 5 postures on the spinal series postures like Setu Bandhasana, Uttan Padasana, Ardhalasana, Pavan Muktasana or Shavasana. So, we will do today Setu Bandhasana first. Join your legs, bend both your knees and bring your heels towards the buttocks. If you are able to hold your ankles, then do it, otherwise place your palms beside your hip region or thighs region. Yes, adjust your body. Now with inhalation, raise your buttocks and trunk to form a bridge. Very good, very good. Stretch it up more, push it. In the final position, keep the shoulders and head in the contact with the floor, don't raise it. Maintain the final position with normal breathing. People suffering from ulcers and hernia should not practice this asana. Exhale, come down and relax on your back. Setu Bandhasana helps to found beneficial in depression. Strengthen lower back muscles, stretch abdominal organs and improve digestion and relieves constipation. Now we will do the next posture, Uttana Padasana. Join your legs, place your hands beside the thighs, yes, palms facing downward. Avoid this practice in case of lower back pain and abdominal hernia. You can do this practice Uttana Padasana by one leg, but today we are going to perform with both legs. Inhale, raise the legs without bending the knees until you see your toes. Start your practice. Not too much, just bring your legs a little bit down. Yes, maintain the final position with normal breathing. Very good. This asana strengthens the navel center and helps to improve breathing capacity. Exhale, slowly bring both the legs down. Place them on the ground. Relax with arms and legs comfortably apart. It means relax in Shavasana. Feel the changes, feel the impact on the breathing. This asana is very beneficial. Now, we move towards the Ardhalasana. Avoid this practice in case of back pain or abdominal hernia or recently abdominal surgery. So, for Ardhalasana, bring your legs together once again. Inhale, slowly raise your legs together without bending the knees and bring them perpendicular to the ground. Very good. Don't bend your knees, stretch your legs. The body from the hip to the shoulder should be kept straight and maintain the position with normal breathing. You can see the alignment. Very good. Your body should not be tense. Relax your body. Exhale. Slowly bring the legs down to the ground without lifting the head. Very good. Relax with the arms and legs comfortably apart. Ardhalasana is found beneficial in the management of hypertension. Those persons who are suffering from the hypertension, they can do this practice under the observation. This is very beneficial. Next posture, Pavan Muktasana. Pavan Muktasana, avoid this practice in case of abdominal injuries, abdominal hernia and severe neck pain. Inhale, bring the legs together, hands by the side of the body, palms facing downward. Exhale, bend both the knees and bring them towards the chest region as much as close possible. Very good. Inhale, interlock the fingers and clasp the legs together just below the knees. Hold your shin region, toes pointing outward. If a person having the severe neck pain, cervical spondylitis, so don't raise the neck. You can maintain this posture till now. But those who have not this kind of problem, they can do exhale and raise the head till the chin, close to the knees and try to touch it. Yes. Maintain the position. Relax your shoulders. Maintain the posture with normal breathing. Don't hold your breath. Feel the impact of breathing in your abdominal region. It's going to expand and relax. Now, exhale. Bring your head back. Unlock your fingers and relax. Both hands and legs back to the floor. Relax in the Shavasana. This asana improves metabolism and it is very good for digestion. Now, here we are going to practice Shavasana. Spread the legs sideways, hands by the side of the body and the palms facing upward, with the arms and legs comfortably apart. Feel the contact of the body with the ground. Don't tighten any part of the body. Relax shoulders, arms, legs, heels, toes sideways. Now focus on the navel region. Inhale, your navel region is going upward. Exhale, let it go down your back towards the floor. Do this practice with inhalation and exhalation. At the time of inhale, your navel region is going upward. Exhale, let it go down your back towards the floor. Just relax your back, relax your body. Be there for few breathing and become aware of natural flow of breath, which is gradually tends to become slow. Observe the movement of the abdominal and synchronize it with the breathing. Shavasana helps to relieve all kind of stress, tension and anxiety. Now, slowly move your toes and fingers. Take a deep, long inhale to come back. Yes. Move your fingers and toes. Join your legs. Stretch your arms upward. Yes. Stretch your whole body. And now, turn right or left side, which is comfortable for you. Support of other hand, sit at your place. Yes. After the loosening practices, we have done the yoga asanas of the standing, sitting, supine and prone and spine series. Now, we do Kapalabhati Kriya and pranayams and dhyana practice. So, let's ready for Kapalabhati. Sit in an meditative posture, Sukhasana, Ardha Padmasana or Padmasana, which is comfortable for you. Adjust your body, align your body. Now adopt Gyan Mudra of both hands, close your eyes, make space between your stomach and chest. Focus on lower abdomen region. Kapalabhati Kriya removes the cough disorder and improves the functioning of respiratory center. For that, you have to inhale deeply and expel the breath with forceful contraction of the abdominal muscles. It means active exhalation and passive inhalation. Don't tighten your facial muscles, don't raise the shoulders while doing this practice. Remember this. So, let's begin the first round of Kapalabhati. 30 strokes. Start your practice. Your flow should be rhythmic. The sound you can hear, make to rhythmic. Now exhale completely and relax. Feel the impact of the first round of Kapalabhati. Now get ready for the second round. Stretch your back, focus on your lower abdomen region and start your practice of the Kapalabhati second round. Gradually, you can increase the speed. In the initial stage, 1 second, 1 stroke, and later on you can increase the speed 120 stroke in a minute if it's possible for the good practitioner, they can do. But in the initial stage, 1 second, 1 stroke, in the person having the high blood pressure, low blood pressure, any cardiac related problem, so do this practice under the observation of your therapist, or don't do it too much with force. Exhale completely and relax. Feel the impact, feel the changes in your breathing pattern. Now we will move towards the Anulom Vilom Pranayam. Adjust your body once again. Anulom Vilom Pranayam helps to improve concentration. For Anulom Vilom Pranayam, keep your left palm on the left knee in Gyan Mudra and adopt Nasagra Mudra of right hand. Make fist and open last two fingers. Yes. This is Nasagra Mudra, Pranayam Mudra. Bring it closer to your nose. Yes. Completely breathe out from both nostrils and then slowly close the right nostril. Inhale from left nostril. Your breathing should be slow, rhythmic and deep. After complete inhalation, close both nostrils. Exhale from the right nostril. Open your right nostril. Your breathing should be slow, rhythmic and deeply. After complete exhalation, inhale from the same right nostril from bottom to top. Then close your right nostril and exhale through the left. Open your left nostril. Maintain the posture. And do this practice. Continue. 2 more rounds. Anulom Vilom Pranayam. Usually people do the mistakes. They give pressure, too much pressure on the nose. They bend their back. So don't do this. Your back should be aligned. Your elbow close to the body. You are just touching, just pressing your nose with light pressure, and you are connecting with your breathing. Yes. After complete the round, bring your right hand back. Slowly bring your right hand back and observe the changes. Then we are going to do the Bhramari Pranayam. Today we will do the Bhramari Pranayam in Shanmukhi Mudra. How we have to adopt the Shanmukhi Mudra? Just look at this. Close your ears with the help of thumb outside of the ears and place your index finger on your eyes. With closed eyes, place your hand on the upper eyelid region. Middle finger close to the nose starting point and ring finger on the mouth stretch region, area between the nose and the upper lips, and little finger close to the chin region, elbows at shoulder level. So, adopt this Shanmukhi Mudra. Middle finger close to the nose, little bit more down, yes. Ring finger more down, yes. Yes. So, in this mudra, we will do the Bhramari Pranayam. You have to inhale deeply and then make humming sound like a bee. We will do this practice 3 times. So, get ready. Inhale. Slowly bring your arms back and feel the impact of these 3 rounds. Feel the relaxation. Now, get ready for dhyana, meditation. Till now we have done the practices, loosening practices, asanas, shodhan practices, pranayama. We have prepared our body till now for dhyana, for meditation. Yesterday we have learned, I taught you what is dhyana and how we have to do the practices of dhyana. So, get ready for practice of dhyana. Sit in any comfortable posture. If you want to change the posture, then you can. If you want to adjust your body, you can. Check your back. You can sit in any meditative posture. Sukhasana, Ardha Padmasana, Padmasana, Vajrasana. Yes. Place your hands on the knees. If you are sitting on the Vajrasana, place your hand on the respective knees. Otherwise, in the other asanas, you can adopt the Jnana Mudra or Dhyana Mudra. Yes. Dhyana Mudra. Yes. Relax your elbows, back straight. Keep your eyes closed. First of all, adjust your body. And now, with closed eyes, observe your body from head to toe. How's your head position? How's your shoulders position? How's your hands? How's your trunk region? Feel the touch of the legs with the ground. And then, after observing the body, we will move towards the pattern of the breathing. How's your inhaling and exhaling? You are not going to be change the pattern of breathing. Just observe, inhale and exhale, Anapan or Shwanasha. Keep the guard of your breathing. Don't let the inhale your body without your permission. Don't let the exhale body without your permission. Observe each and every breath which is coming inside and out. After observing few breathing, then watch the sensation of the body. Maybe your mind is going to be wandering here and there. Connect with your body. Maybe you are feeling some discomfort in your body, any pain, itching sensation, any other sensation. Watch it. Don't do the reaction of the action. Just observe. If you are feeling any kind of sensation in your head, in your trunk, in your lower region, don't move your body. Be there like an idol. Now, once again, observe your breathing. You have not changed the pattern of breathing. Now you can see your breathing is shallow and deeper. Tip of the nose and the top of the nose, top of the nose to the tip of the nose. Observe the breathing. Then once again, move your awareness on your body. Observe your body region internally. How's your head position? Is your back still straight? If it's not, don't give the jerk. Feel it. How's your legs position? Then move your awareness on your body once again from head to toe and take a deep, long inhale. Synchronize this and breathe out. Once again, deep inhale and breathe out. Take sankalpa in your mind. I have to be positive for myself and for the society. Now join your palms for Shanti Path. Inhale deeply. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामय सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Slowly place your palms on your eyes and open your eyes gently. Thank you to all of you. Dhanyavad. Shubh Din. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Now we are going to lecture session after just 1 minute. Be there and we will be right back. Thank you.
Namaskar. I welcome you all in the day 10 of CYP Introduction Program. So, let's start the session with prayer. Close your eyes. Join your palms in Namaskar Mudra. Take a deep breath in and let's chant the prayer together. Sangachadvam samvadadvam samvo manasi janita deva bhagam yatha purve sanjnana upasate sanjnana upasate sanjnana upasate. So once again I welcome you all in today's theory session. Today's topic is principles of diet for healthy living. Yeah. So our ancient used to say that food is Brahma, food is God, food is divine. Annam Brahma, Raso Vishnu, Bhokta Devo Maheshwara. That means the food that we eat is Brahma, the essence is Vishnu, and the one who partakes the food is none other than Lord Shiva. So we are eating the divine to please the divine. Food connects all of us, food heals us, food nourishes us. That is the significance of food in our life. So there is a saying in English, you are what you eat. You just tell me what you eat and I'll tell you who you are. And then there is a saying in Hindi, Jaisa khaye an vaisa rahe man. So food has much more subtle influence in our body and your mind. So in our pranayam session we talk about the panch koshas. So the food, the physical body, the annamaya kosha is made up of food, but it also influences all other koshas of the body, including the pranamaya or manomaya kosha. It impacts our mind. Or Vijnanamaya kosha, it influences our intellect, and it also influences our Anandamaya kosha, the blissful sheath. So it impacts all the layers, all the sheath of our existence. So next is, today we will discuss about the principles of diet for healthy living. But first of all, I would like to tell the modern science talk a lot about eating well balanced diet. But our ancients, they have far deeper knowledge about the food, and there are a lot of principles. If we follow them in our diet, in our life, then we can live a very healthy life. So what is the importance of yogic diet is mitahar. This is known as mitahar. So in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it is mentioned, mitaharam vina yastu yoga rambam tu kare nana roga bhavatyasya kinchit yogana siddhyati in Garen Saita. So one who begins the practice of yoga without following mitahar, the yogic diet, it can lead to many diseases and will not be successful in yoga. That is the significance. So if you will not follow the yogic diet, you will not be successful in your efforts if you will not follow the mitahar. Okay. So what is the definition of mitahar? What we say is mitahar, susnigdha madurahar chaturthansh vivajjate. Bhujjate shiv samprite mitahar sa ujjate. The food which is susnigdha, well lubricated, not zero oil. Yes, it's not zero oil, it's susnigdha. Madurahar, madhur doesn't mean putting too much of sugar, it means having the natural sweet taste. Chaturthansh vivajjate, this is very important principle now, that 1/4 of the stomach should be free. 1/4 should be free. Bhujjate shiv samprite, the second line is also very excellent. Bhujjate shiv samprite, you should eat not to just satisfy your taste buds, you should eat to please the Lord Shiva. So, when you offer food or when you offer flowers to God, would you like to offer fresh flowers or stale? Of course, you would like to offer fresh flowers. Similarly, we should always offer fresh food, which is sweet, well lubricated to our body. This body is temple of Lord Shiva. So, we should eat the food which is susnigdha madhurahar, which is well lubricated, sweet in the taste, and 1/4 of the stomach should be free. We should not overload. Even how we should eat food, there is another shlok in Grahan Samhita that anen puredh toen tu tritikam. That means 1/2 of the stomach should be filled with anna, food. Toen means water, toen tu tritikam, and 1/3 should be filled with water. Udrasya turyansha, that means udrasya means abdominal. Turyansha is the 1/4 part, should be conserved for the movement of air. Sarakshed vayu charane, that should be conserved for the air. So, let me revise it again. This is very important principle that how much we should eat. 1/2 of the stomach should be filled with food, then 1/3 with water, and 1/4 should be left free for the movement of air, so that proper digestion can be taken, proper assimilation of the food can be done. So, this is as per Grahan Samhita, this is the principle of eating food. So, even in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there is Badhak Tattva mentioned that one of the biggest obstacle in the path of yoga is excess of eating. Atyahar prayasach prajalpo niyamgraha jansangash lolyam cha shadbhiryogo vinashyati. Atyahar means excess of eating. Prayasach, excess of efforts, over efforts even, yes. Prajalpo, over talking. Niyamgraha, over adherence to the rule. That jansangash, living in too much in the company of people. Lolyam, wavering mind. These are the 6 obstacles in the path of yoga. If you notice, atyahar, excess of food is on the top. That is the number 1 obstacle in the path of yoga. So, if you will eat excess of food, then you can never be satisfied in the or successful in the path of yoga. So, in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that yuktahar viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapna bodhasya yogo bhavate dukha. So, one who is moderate in eating, yuktahar, viharasya and recreation, yukta karmasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, one who is balanced in work, karma, balanced in work. Yukta swapna bodhasya, whose sleeping and wakefulness cycle is also balanced, it's also regulated. That one can remove all the sufferings through yoga. If you are doing yoga and you are having eating proper diet, moderate recreation, well balanced in your work, and of course your sleep cycle is also regulated, then you can remove all your sufferings. So, keep in mind always. Now, the 3 types of yogic diet mentioned in Bhagavad Gita as per our personalities. The 3 different types of people, Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic people. Okay, we have 3 gunas in us, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. We all have. It's not just that people are only Sattvic, only Rajasic, only Tamasic. We all have these 3 gunas in us, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. But one can be predominant, one guna can be predominant as per our personality. So, food can influence our personality, and if you are a Sattvic person, you can have different taste regarding food, different choices. If you are Rajasic, you can have different, if you are Tamasic, you can have different choices. But you can also influence your personality by eating different type of foods as per the Bhagavad Gita. It is mentioned Ayu Sattva Bal Arogya Sukh Priti Vivardhana Rasya Snigdha Sthira Hrida Ahara Sattvic Priya. That means the food which increases Ayu, age, longevity, Sattva, lightness, Bal, strength, Arogya, diseaselessness, Sukh Priti Vivardhana. Now Sukha, not just pleasure which is momentary, this is Sukha, this is beyond that, this is everlasting. Priti Vivardhana, that increases love in you. Rasya Snigdha Sthira Hrida, that is Rasya, that is full of Rasa. Snigdha, again it is lubricated. Sthira, stability, which gives you sthirata, and Hrida, which is pleasing to the heart, not the taste buds only, which is pleasing to the heart. That is Ahara Satvik Priya. Satvik people like these kind of food. So just think for a moment that the food, people eat non-veg food. So the food which is itself made from flesh of animals, can that increase your life? When an animal is cut, before that it is in the state of anger, fear, and then violence on that animal, suffering it goes through. Can that increase bala in you? Can that increase ayu? No, not at all. The only vegetarian diet can increase all these qualities in you, because vegetarian diet has prana. So that can give you life force, that can increase your life, your bala, strength, sattva, lightness, wisdom in you. So if you are liking already these kind of food, you are sattvic personality, and if you are not, you can change your personality, you can influence your personality by eating such kind of food. So now it's also mentioned, nowadays these kind of food habits are more prevalent. Katva amla lavan atyushna tikshna ruksha vidahina ahara rajeshcha dukha shok kame prada. So the food which is katu, which is bitter, lavan, that is amla, which is sour, lavan, which is too salty, atyushna means that is over heat, okay, tikshna, which is pungent, ruksha, dry, vidahina, which is like inducing too much of heat. So these kind of diet is taken by the people who are rajasic, in the mode of passion. So they eat such kind of food and then they become highly ambitious and highly passionate, and that too much of desires arises in them, they become so much anxious, and this can lead to dukh, shok, kamya, prada. It is clearly mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that such type of food can only lead towards dukha, sorrow, shok, even it can give anxiety, kamya, prada. Too much of desires this can lead to, and obviously we all know too much of desire lead to suffering. So this should be avoided. Excess of salty, excess of bitter food, sour food, and excess of spicy food, these should be avoided. Now tamasic food. In Bhagavad Gita it is clearly mentioned, yat yamam gatrasam puti paryushitam cha yatah. Food which is yat yamam, like you are eating another day after 3 hours, gatrasam, which is devoid of its rasa now, which was once full of rasa but now it is devoid of rasa. Like if you eat a fresh carrot directly plucked from your kitchen garden, or if you eat carrot from the refrigerator, which is stored in refrigerator from the so many days, from 4-5 days, if you eat that, they might look same, but there is lot of difference in the taste. So that is gatrasam, puti, which is putrid, paryushitam, which is decomposed now, change in taste is there. That food is impure, polluted, and you are eating stale food, eating like food that is it was eaten by someone else before. So that food is eaten by the people who are tamasic. This can lead to tamas, inertia, inactivity, and unpolluted mind also. If the food is unpolluted, mind can also be polluted, not unpolluted, polluted. So if the food is polluted, mind will be polluted. Also it will impact your mind also, in your body also. So these are 3 types of people as per Bhagavad Gita, and 3 types of personalities, as well as 3 types of diets. According to Bhagavad Gita, we should always try to move towards the sattvic diet to increase our ayu, sattva, bal, arogya. Now what are the principles for healthy living? As per Charak Samhita, there is kala bhojanam arogya karanam. That means in Charak Samhita it is clearly mentioned that eating on proper time, if you are eating food on proper time, that can give you a diseaseless body. That is number 1 prerequisite. If you are not eating food on time, that can lead to many diseases. So this is another principle that should be kept in mind. So in Ashtanga Hridayam it is mentioned in the chapter 8, 35th verse, that Tanmana Bhojan Gata Chitta. It is a long verse, it's in short we are written, that we should eat with awareness always. Nowadays what people are doing, they are watching a movie, action movie, and they are eating along. So they don't know what's going inside mouth, and even their digestion is not able to be completed properly because all the digestive juices are not able to come out, because your awareness is on the television, on the movie, and not on the food. So you should always eat with awareness, and you should be always grateful for the food you get. You should be thankful to God. Remember, you are eating the divine food and you are offering it to divine. Okay? So that should be kept in mind. So it will influence your digestion also, because when you are eating food and if you are not concentrating the food, you are thinking about something else, or you are watching some movie or something else you are doing. So that will not be able to digest properly by the body, because then digestive juices will not be secreted properly, and it will influence your psychology also. Because if you are eating tamasic diet, if you are eating rajasic food, it will influence you accordingly. So here it is a principle of diet for healthy living as per Ayurveda. It is clearly mentioned in Ashtanga Hridayam. It is in chapter 8 from the Sutra Sthanam 35 to 38, that food should be consumed at proper time, should be clean, and should be suited to health, easily digestible, and should contain all the 6 tastes with the predominance of the sweet as per yogic text also. And you should eat it very slowly, not over slowly but slowly, not very fast. After taking bath, and you should sit in solitude, and you should first pray to God. This is also very important. Our ancient used to emphasize a lot on like praying to God, and then first of all you should satisfy your pitris, gods, children in the family, then only you should eat. And carefully you have to eat according to your constitution. I will just talk about it after completing this, that as per your constitution you should eat always, and without abusing the food, without talking too much. You should keep silence while eating food, and you should sit down, not standing. In standing position you should not eat, and more of liquid food you should partake, and you should eat in the company of like persons only, and the person who is serving the food, who is cooking for you, also matters a lot. They should cook with positive feelings for you. Nowadays people go to restaurants a lot, and the people who are cooking for you in restaurants, they have another motto in their mind. They want to make money. But your mother is cooking at home, she is making with love, care, and with the attitude of to nourish yourself, to nourish you. So that will impact you differently. So now I just talk about your constitution. The constitution, we all have different constitution as per Ayurveda, Kafaj, Pittaj, Vataj. So we all have 3 doshas in us, Vat, Pitta, Kaph. One is predominant now, as there are Trigunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, we have different types of doshas also, Vat, Pitta and Kapha. So we all have these 3, and 1 or 2 can be predominant in us. So we have to eat as per our constitution. For a person who is Kapha predominant, the person is Kapha predominant, should not eat too much of fatty food, heavy food, because already Kapha is predominant in fat. They are fatty people, bit plump, so they should eat light food. If someone is Vata, Vataj predominant, if the personality is Vataj predominant, they should have different kind of food. So if someone is Pittaj predominant, excess of heat in the body, already excess of aggression, anger, if they will eat like more Rajasic diet if they will take, so that will lead on to too many problems. So we have to eat according to our constitution always. Then we also have to eat according to the season. In Ayurveda it is mentioned that we have to eat according to the season. So in winter season, in Hemant and Shishira, when the digestive fire is increased and Kapha dosh start accumulating in us. Yes, Kapha dosh start accumulating in that season. So we have to eat, we can eat heavy products also, but and sour, salty, heavy milk products, and oil massages also recommended. But now it is Vasanta. Now it is Vasanta, today is Vasant Panchami, it is Vasanta season. So now digestive fire is bit reduced, and all the Kapha dosha that you accumulated in the winter season, it is now liquefying. So you cannot eat very heavy food now. If you will eat, it will lead to indigestion. So, in yoga also we recommend Vaman in this time, and the food, take the bitter, pungent, astringent food. You can take light for digestion food, you should take ideally, and you can have honey with lukewarm water in this time. So, that is the significance of diet in our life, that we should eat according to the season, we should eat according to the constitution, and we can also change our personality by changing our diet. We should eat on time. This is very important, that we should eat on time, we should eat in sitting position, we should eat with awareness, and if you want to change your psychology, you should change your diet first. Okay? So, you should move towards, if there is a lot of tamas energy in you, you can move slightly towards rajas, but ultimately you have to lead towards the sattvic diet. That is highly recommended. Okay, in the path of yoga also, and for healthy living also. If you want to increase ayu, age, sattva, bala, strength, arogya, diseaselessness in you, then you have to eat sattvic diet, which is rasya, snigdha, stira, hrida, and the diet which is half the stomach should be filled with food and 1/3 with water, and the last 1/4 should be conserved for the movement of air. This is excellent principles that are mentioned in your ancient text, and we should follow them always, keeping in mind. So, I hope you all like today's lecture and you will follow it in your daily life. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll meet tomorrow same time. So, we'll end the session now with prayer. Close your eyes, join your palms in Namaskara Mudra. Take a deep breath in. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhavet, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhavet, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhavet. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaskar. Thank you.